Hey everybody, my name is David Shepard. I am a fantasy writer and I also studied wildlife biology and conservation in college. So today I'm going to evaluate a fantastical creature based on principles of biology. We're going to talk about a Pokemon today, which is Tyranitar. I honestly I've never done this before, so we'll see if people like it. We'll see how it goes. First of all, a disclaimer. This is a fantastical creature. It's made up, which means that anything it does is fine, really. Like, it's made up. You can just say, magic does the thing that doesn't make sense, and that's fine. What I'm doing today is I'm looking at this fantastical creature and say, okay, what about it actually does make sense if you look at it with a more scientific perspective, and what could you do maybe to make that make a little bit more sense. So Tyranitar is a rock type and dark type Pokemon. Rock meaning it has to do with rocks, and dark meaning it's like violent, I guess. That's what dark means, or it hides in the night. I don't know. It's not, that type has never been clear to me. And I have actually, so a lot of you are going to know more about Pokemon than I do, because I didn't really play the games growing up, like the Nintendo games and stuff. I actually played cards with my little brother all the time, and now I just play Pokemon Go. So on Pokemon Go, in the little description of Tyranitar, it says, Tyranitar is so overwhelmingly powerful, it can bring down a whole mountain to make its nest. This Pokemon wanders about in mountains, seeking new opponents to fight. So basically it's big, it's powerful, and it fights things. And it lives in mountains, which is interesting, because it has stubby little legs that would make it really hard to climb up rocks. It brings down entire mountains. Tyranitar is supposed to be this big, powerful creature that's strong. And first of all, it's rock type. So in order to bring down mountains, it might actually just like stomp on the ground and cause the mountain to collapse into a nest shape. Who knows? It might be like an earthbender type thing. But if it's actually doing that with its body, that's kind of something that I want to talk about. Tyranitar's body shape makes zero sense. It's basically this giant triangle, a giant triangle with a tiny little head, and it doesn't even have that sharp of teeth, and it has no neck whatsoever, and it has stubby little legs and short arms, and then it has spikes and a big long tail at the back. The only animal in the real world that I can think of that has a body shape anything like that is a penguin. Tyranitar has a penguin body shape, and there are actually a fair amount of other Pokemon that have this same body shape. There's Nidoking and Nidoqueen, there's Empoleon, which actually is a penguin, so that one makes sense, and Aggron. Aggron also has this same kind of body shape, and because apparently the Pokemon creators think that that makes it look powerful. It's like kind of like a bulky human that's just gonna, take you on, I guess. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. Because the problem with this is, first of all, why is it walking on 2 feet? There are very few animals that walk on 2 feet. There's people, and there's kangaroos, and kangaroos don't walk, they hop. I mean, sometimes they kind of hobble, but they kind of use their front legs to do that anyway. Because walking upright means that, like, my entire torso is exposed to attacks from bites, whatever, from anything trying to kill me. Tyranitar is covered in like this armor-like plating, so that kind of helps, but to me it doesn't make sense. Like, the benefits of standing upright, let's talk about that. First of all, you have an elevated perspective. So like a giraffe, they have long necks so that they can reach leaves and stuff off the top of trees, because other animals aren't able to get those, and so they're filling in a niche that other animals aren't filling in, and they can eat those leaves and get food. It also makes it a lot easier for a giraffe to spot a predator, because they're up higher, they can see further out. Tyranitar lives in mountains, and I don't think it eats tree leaves off the top of trees. Maybe it does. Maybe that's why it needs to be tall. I don't know. But I'm also pretty sure that if it's looking for opponents to fight, it doesn't need to see predators coming a long way off. So that's not necessary. Walking on 2 legs also has several other benefits, none of which would really make sense for a Tyranitar. Humanoids, like hominid ancestors, when people, like Australopithecus, when they started walking upright, there were a couple of reasons for this. One of which was it left their hands free. so that they could like pick up and carry objects, so they could use tools, that kind of a thing, which is really useful. But I don't think Tyranitar is doing that. I never heard of it wielding tools. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's the predator thing. You can see predators from far off. I already said that that's not really a thing. And that also doesn't really help if you're in the mountains, because it's, you know, shaped like a slope and you can't see very far off anyway, no matter how tall you are. It only really helps if you're in a grassland area. But then the other benefit is it helps with running. Humans are very good at endurance running because since they're only using their 2 legs, they expend a lot less energy than if they were trying to run on all 4 legs. So it makes it easier for endurance running, and you can also use your forelimbs to balance yourself. I don't think Tyranitar is doing any distance running because it has tiny, stubby little legs, and it also lives in mountains, which would make it really difficult to do that. There's no reason for Tyranitar to be walking on 2 legs. Doesn't make any sense. And it makes it more vulnerable to attacks. And it also makes it difficult for Tyranitar to make any attacks. Its arms are too short to actually like swipe at anything, at least much of anything. It can't even like reach down to its feet. Its tail, that it could do some damage with, but it would have to use its stubby little legs to flip itself like all the way around in order to hit anything. And then its neck, which it could use to bite things, is like way up high, so it has to bend like completely over to bite anything that's not as tall as it is. The like natural weapons that it has aren't really very useful. One other thing that I wanted to talk about, the spikes. It has 2 sets of spikes that run down its back, one on the right hand and one on the left, which leaves the very middle of the back completely open. If something was going to attack it from behind, it could just jump straight in the middle and bite its neck. Makes it very vulnerable. So I'd also probably add some spikes on the, like at least around the neck area, because if it jumps on the back, Tyranitar has this massive tail, which it could just pulverize something with. And with the armored plating, it's actually probably fine with that. So that's fine. Those are the problems. If I were to take and design a Tyranitar that actually makes sense in terms of its biology, its body shape, I would put it down on all 4s and give it sort of a bear, big, bulky bear kind of a shape, like a grizzly. Like just putting it down on all 4s makes it so much less vulnerable to attacks from other animals, and it makes it much easier for Tyranitar to use both of it, like its claws and its mouth, in order to make attacks, as well as its tail. That's my evaluation of Tyranitar. If you enjoyed this video, then please subscribe for more. If I got something totally wrong, tell me in the comments. I'm sure you know more about Pokemon than I do. Please tell me what I got wrong, and suggest other creatures that I should evaluate if you liked this.